Welcome back to the Geometric View, episode 41, season 4. Today we're going to get into finger cleavage, beam forming, beam interlacing resonant cavities, plasmoid Lagrangian space cartilage, space bones, imprinting, magnetic coupling, lock space, high pressure zones, future technologies, phased array beam forming, and so much more. Thank you for being here. You can find our content on hashtag Love is Watching, hashtag The Dougherty Set. Let's get into it. The best way to support us is on PayPal, goldenscaling@gmail.com. Thank you. Welcome to the Geometric View, episode 41. We are going to do this episode on finger cleavage, beam interlacing resonant cavities, plasmoid Lagrangian space cartilage, and space bones. I've been having these, revelations or understandings recently of this future technology, and so I figured I'd tell people some of my visions of this future technology and see if it already exists, and possibly take a look for it. We're going to get into, I created a map as I normally create a map for every episode. We're going to get into the phased array beam forming, Lagrangian points. And Lagrangian points are places where the forces on an object are perfectly balanced. So how space creates parking spaces for things to have places for rotation around other bodies. Theodordian spatial interlacing, Celtic interlacing, and interlacing like work from Irish folks. And magnetic coupling, a bunch of other fun stuff. So I built this map, so we're going to hop right into it. We're going to try to find out, do ideas extend into the world and have bodies? Are ideas shapes? Can you have idea shapes and thought as forms? And that could be the word thought forms, where that comes from. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go to my map here that I've created for us. Now, I had some weird sleeping patterns this last couple of days, so I just woke up and started playing with this space. Well, I guess we'll take a look at it first, right? So this is it. Now I started playing with this. This is titled finger cleavage beam interlacing. So and by finger cleavage, it's just, I thought that looked like this shape, like a wing nut kind of shape. And it's almost like a fetus kind of shape as well. When I started playing with that, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a fetus. Then I thought, it looks like bats. And then I realized I started making all these crazy things with it, and all these plasmoids and stuff. And I'm like, I'm playing with Lagrangian points and Lagrange points. And these are Lagrange points are points, like I just said, they're spaces where you can put satellites and float them around different planets and orbits and things like that. So let's see. Move in here. This is how I started playing with it. I seen this shape here, and that's just normal, highlighting the circles that are already in here inside the Dougherty set, inside the Theodorian crystalline lattice here of the space grid. But okay, so I started creating this, and I don't think I introduced myself. I think I did in the intro, but maybe not. So I'm Buddy James, your host. I created this set, this geometry here, and we've been playing with it quite extensively, and I'm showing all these different characteristics that I'm finding in not only nature in the subquantum and in the quantum or smaller scale Planck and subplanck levels, but also on the larger astrophysical realms and stellar bodies and things like that. So we're seeing that this grid is showing that it's lining up with the heavens and formations that we see inside of stellar formations and stellar formations out in the galaxy. Different galaxies, different nebulas, they all have these really cool types of geometries. So I've been mapping them out with divergence and curl using this set here as basically the master grid for electromagnetic induction, and just showing how all forces can be shown as this field here. They can be mapped out inside of this field. So just playing with it, arranging different parts bit by bit, I'm showing here that this shape that I did pull out, this lima bean type of finger cleavage type of shape, we have the golden mean from this point to this point to this point, and it also comes this way as well. So I'm breaking down the symmetry of that. I'll get into it a little bit later in the episode, but for a taster or a teaser here, this ink blot looking pattern right here is this number K is the bone structure, okay, of this this object that I created, which is number M down here. So I highlighted these, and it looks like bats, but we'll get into cavities, resonant cavities, and how this is like the cleavage, or not cleavage, the cartilage, space cartilage, that holds, that are larger fields like Oort fields, the Oort field that's around the solar system. There are fields within fields within fields, and there's dynamics to them. So I'm showing how these dynamics have bone structure and like cartilage and like actual tangible geometries, which we know they have geometries, but they're connected, they're concatenating. They're indeed connecting. Things that we thought were initially separate are coming together. And there's a word for that. Concrescence. The coalescence or growing together of parts originally separate. Concrescence. So this would be like concrescence of space energy, or a planet being formed. This is the implosive. It's being drawn together like a pinch towards the center. There is indeed, it's center facing, center folding. It is instead of concave, it's convex. So these are the convex, part of the convex layers. There's a convexity to it, not concavity. But okay, so we see that all of these shapes are attained by rotating this fundamental initial geometry. So I rotated it, and I put it against a finger here, and I thought that turned out pretty good with I and L here. So you got that, and it reminded me the energy of a feminine, energy of a the nails coming out to the tips. I've definitely felt that fingertip energy. So your fingertips are like a rope, a cosmic rope that's pulling the energies from the larger universe, the galactic electric grid, the solar electric grid, and the global electric grid. These hierarchical energies, these constructs are available and ascertainable.
May I speak on that, buddy, if you mind?
Please. Absolutely.
What you're saying right there, this is something that I've learned a long time, being an energy mover, and it started with the self-disciplines of, self-defense, blah, blah, blah. But in the midst of all that, I realized, in the midst of pushing and using energy, one of our hands is more dominantly centripetal, which means that's a conductive to grab. It's the one, the clutch, and the other one is centrifugal, which is the more outward power. Where you're putting out power. Like if you were to build up a ball of energy, one hand would collect it in. You're drawing it with the one hand. Mine happens to be my left. My right hand would be the one I put it out with. I mean, you can do the opposites and all, but that you're dominant in one way or the other. And as interesting as you brought that up, that was the first thing to come to mind was, was that very energy flow that is in us. The same way that, energy comes in from above us and grounds out to the bottom of us, bonding us to the earth. Go ahead. I just wanted to add that in at the point which you were talking about that flow of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, there is a grounding effect, and if you can feel the cosmic energies by certain yogic positions, they don't even have to be yogic positions or yogi positions, or yoga. You can just spread your legs like a squatter man. Stand up, spread your legs, keep them open, as wide as your gait can get, and put your hands up and do the squatter man. And that's a good way to pull cosmic energy in. And these wrinkles, these ripples, are phi here, and same with your fingers and your phalanges. So these ropes pull in energies, and this has been really really noticeable, like, as of lately with me. Like, I'll be moving and like breathing and doing work, and then or I'll set my phone down, and then my energy's back on nature, and all of a sudden the wind picks up. Then I'll set my phone down again, and the wind picks up, and I'm like, this is too much of a coincidence 3 times in a day. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should pay a little bit more attention in nature today. But anyway, so we're connected to that grid, and I'm excited to eventually be testing how much a lot of groups have done this, but like how much we are tuned to a cloud at a group meditation, to a series of clouds, to thunderstorms, to tornadic winds. Can we create tornadoes? Are there rain dancers still? Are there,
I have, interesting you say that. I actually got so mad at my ex-wife one time after I found out she gave the that triple vaccine to the boys after they were 12 or 13. And I didn't notice that my sons did, but we just took a walk up to the store, me and my twins. And when I found out, I had to give myself a little space from them because I didn't want to be indignant about their mother or anything like that, and I need a little bit of space, so I kind of walked out in front of them. And crazy enough, as mad as I got, I documented this. They're the ones who told me afterwards. I was totally in my own world of pain. But the heavens cracked open and we had to walk home in this like crazy thunderstorm. The boys went upstairs. I told them I'd be out in the barn. And at that time I was staying at 25 acres on 25 acres at a barn out back. And I went out into the barn to just have place. And I guess I unloaded, and I was obviously sobbing uncontrollably, knowing what had just happened with murdering modern medicine, infecting my kids. And my son come outside because he thought I was laughing. He heard, from the upstairs window of the house. And he come outside, and as he got close enough, he realized I was sobbing, and then he turned around and gave me peace, But then he said when I come out of the barn and I was okay again, and calmed down, he says, Dad, he said, it was the craziest thing. He says, when you got mad, the heavens opened up and it stormed. And when you calmed down, all of a sudden the beautiful day came back. Isn't that interesting? Like, from the mind of a child, teenage boy, 13 years old, but you know what I'm saying? Well, the idea that they paid attention to that, I didn't, but I thought afterwards, wow, isn't that interesting that, maybe, and I just answered it with even the heavens saw the pain Dad was in, you know what I mean? And I kind of dismissed it. But as you say that, I have since been aware of noticing to affect weather and nature and stuff.
That's incredible. And I sympathize and empathize 100% with the situation.
Yeah. But I bring it up for the fact of, like we were talking about the moving the energy. It's not the sob story behind it, because my son is, we've brought him around with this sacred knowledge. We've saved his life, returned his gallbladder back to good. They're not cutting him. He's not going to be on murdering modern medicines, pharmaceutical need of, the gallbladder medication and stuff, because everybody on it slow, miserable death. I can't even call it life, because, you killed the chemist, you fired the chemist, you threw out the chemist, now you got to be the chemist, and not too many people are good at chemistry, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I can't complain really, but the thing is the energy moving, and I notice sometimes in certain meditations, the clouds will be absolutely circled around me clear. There'll be clouds all the way around an area I'm in, but the area I'm in is completely cloud free and in a perfect circle too. And I've done some experiments that I can't talk about right now, but with documentation,
we're getting a little static on your mic.
Oh, sorry.
It might be brushing against your beard.
Yeah, it might have. Are we good again?
Yep, that's better.
Okay. So I do have some proofs, I should say, at this point. I'm only like one or two from that I'm affecting the Schumann resonance in some instances at which I'm altering energies. They seem to, I didn't think about this, but again, somebody from Georgia brought this up to me and showed me the Schumann resonance and under certain patterns and timings at which we were doing certain things and praying. And I'll go outright to say that it was in the midst of prayers and certain prayers, and they're very dynamic and very unique in each one. So you can't really say it was this type of prayer or that type of prayer. Does that make sense?
Right.
But I can say that prayer, the slotha, is the word used in Aramaic, the ancient Aramaic word for prayer, the unity of oneness with is called slotha. So isn't that interesting when we consider sloth a bad word? Like if I were to sit and see you in prayer, if I was walking by and had no spiritual connectivity at all, I might find you wasting your time. But in essence, you might very well be praying for me because, you know what I mean? I've wasted a life. You know what I mean? So I'm getting at where is the value of it? But there is a frequency that you go to, and that was something that I've been working on, and again, seeing lots of proofs of it. And I'm almost ready to release podcasts on it. Now we're finishing up the recording rooms on them. But the energy moving that you talk about is absolutely there.
Indeed, it is. And this is old news. There's been lots of reports on this, the bioelectric field, the body electric, or the energetic body, the body energy field.
Yeah, the piezo energy. That's what I guess is referred to in piezo energy. Yeah, the field, exactly, the energy field, because we're going to come into a point now where we are literally, polarity is now going to take a subside, and it's not going to be, we're not going to be polarized anymore. We're going to start understanding field electronics, field equations, field energies, as above, as below, as within, without, as seen, unseen, that kind of stuff. It's going to become intimate consciousness in our world, in our reality soon.
Yes.
And it's going to be beautiful, because when we talked in the very first podcast, when it was just you and me, that this is going to be elementary someday. You know, that our children will be explaining it back to us better than we ever explained it to them.
Indeed. I believe that to be true.
I do. I wait for that moment.
And it just,
And they're going to be.
it just reminds me of, you know, this vision that I see with these. It's these fluttering fields, and I'm going to get more into it, hopefully, unless I do it now. But like, these fields are these resonant cavities in these points that we can actually create resonant feedback loops, forward and backward feedback loops. And there's magnetic coupling and resonant coupling that can occur, and we're going to get into that.
Inside our own body. Inside our own bodies.
Yeah, and that's what the brain, that's what the bones are already there. The structures are already there. The sphenoid bone, different structures.
I am living proof of that right now. My right shoulder, although I did have an altercation, I guess you would call, with the Westland police, that we had a little bit of discrepancy about who I am. And in the end, they ended up wrenching my arm back a little bit of healing space. But the sympathetic resonance, the tone before the sounds, the tone of consciousness, the tone of that living resonance, that breath of life in us, I realized I couldn't. I did. All right. So I didn't know how to make the neurons work, because I couldn't find the muscle. There was nothing to leave with energy, to receive no energy. Everything was dead. It was atrophy. Ligamentation would be a better word to actually put biologically to it. So, but I did find out that at a certain point, my movements, whether it be lift the arms up, tuck the shoulders in, and or try to flex the lats or not, that there was a certain point at which I did have paralleled sympathetic resonance. You know what I mean? Where my left side and my right side were balanced. And I would take it all the way to the point at which I would lose balance, and I would go back to it, and I would keep pressuring it. And I found that the field equation itself, even though I didn't know the muscle that was there, once I put it in that field equation, that it triggered it and wanted to trigger one side of the muscle to contract and or the other side of the muscle to release. They couldn't do both forever if there was actually ignition there. And that's what's moved. There was a cyst in one of my lymph glands in the armpit, of my right arm, that was very much attached and correlating to the damaged shoulder, and that atrophy, and that moved out into my kidneys, and now that's being flushed out, hopefully in a short amount of time. But the idea is that I couldn't have done it if I would have kept searching for a muscle, and or why can't I work my arm? When I realized that there was a balance and an energy that was calling me, that had no sound. There's no sound going on in my body. I don't hear nothing. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I felt the balance of that energy, and I could tell when it left me and when it came back, and when I was able to use it and push it. And in that, it's allowed more mobility. I would say right now, I'm probably 33% more mobile in the arm, simply because of exercising, or I should say stretching in more of that way. You know what I mean? And it's all from sympathetic resonance.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be something for you. That's why I text you about something important. I want to mention it right here. We're on the podcast. I don't care who knows it, man. It's already mine. I got it out. It's, it ain't going to be a bit of drawing away. It's already copyrighted because it's on computers. So it ain't no thing. I want to get with you, and we need to put a couple of different projects together. But the one is called a life flight. And the life light is basically a rarefaction of infrared lights bouncing off there's, in the end, I'd like to, I got there's a grow light filament and an infrared filament that should be in the same bulb, okay, giving off the argons and the proper gases, sealed with proper gases. The difference in the gases determines on, what you're going to get out of it. No mercury vapors, you know what I'm saying? None of that. These will be pure lights, a pure light bulb. But the thing is that it bounces into the corner, like right into the corner of your room. So it's right into the corner, not it doesn't go to the ceiling, doesn't go to the one wall, doesn't go to the other wall, but it literally split divides the light in that triangulation of the ceiling, the wall, and the other wall. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it actually is set up so where it has like a kind of a snake assembly, snake light kind of thing where you can, adjust it and all that to any way you want. And you turn it and it actually adjusts in. You'll see a yin and yang in the corner. You can adjust that yin and yang, that symbol, that triangulation. You can adjust that image how you want. It could be how you feel, and you're dialing it into what your body needs. But then you can also pull it back and put your face up to it and up to, I can't, like 12 microns or something like that. Your eyes permeate infrared light. So you don't even have to have your eyes opened up and you can walk up to the light and now like take a nap. You know what I mean? Like the same energizing factors of taking a 45-minute nap you could get in a 5 to 10 to 20 minute. I do it in about 5-minute increments. You can walk up, you feel the warmth on your face, it permeates everything turns orange and red and stuff. And then you can lift it back up, put it in the corner the way you want and walk away. But now you're getting balanced AUV light, augmented infrared light to counteract all the oversaturation you're getting of UVB. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why I call it the life light. It came to me yesterday morning. You were attached microseconds behind it. Of like, this is like the two of us with your bubble sculpting and stuff like that. And what we're talking about, another individual I'd like to talk to you about, but in private, I don't want to put no pressure on anybody. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But I definitely, I mean, this will be something that we could make and literally help be one of the first factors of helping heal a world. We don't even have to have the original light bulb. We can just use an infrared light bulb to start with. It already exists at 125 or 250 watt capacity clear light. Isn't that cool?
Let's do it. That's freaking incredible.
It's miraculous. Let's go with that word because it's a showing of a truth. That's the word for miracle. The showing of a truth. The simple 5 words. But yeah, you were the first one that was attached to it. We are very close. And again, I'm at that point where I'm ready to start traveling to come and see you with this stuff. I'm literally already getting everything boxed up, all my music equipment, everything I'm getting all boxed up from Georgia, my cello, my mandolin. I got a couple LTDs, a 5-string bass Abilene, bass, all kinds of stuff. It's probably going to cost me a few $100 to get it shipped, but it's going to save me from paying for the rest of the year and not having the equipment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So music is coming to the ministry and the podcasts are opening up. And this is something I think that could facilitate and not only just fun, you know what I mean, but it's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, and we can make it. I'd like to have a 2-light kit because not everybody, I don't want to force you to stay in one room. You know what I mean? Most people have at least 2 rooms in their home, either the bedroom and or a living room, you know what I mean? Dining room, someplace where there's activity room, a den, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or put them in both one room, on opposite corners. But it literally comes with assembly that all it takes is, and every corner has to come together with studding. See what I mean? So within an inch and an inch of each corner of every room is going to be a stud. So, you know what I mean? You just put 2 screws there and this thing channels right in it and locks down on those screws.
Perfect.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I got drawings and everything. We'll talk about that in a time, but that was the important thing that was, that I said for, and also, I don't know why this one came up with it, but the idea of a movie called Demon Eater. And, it's all about a guy who basically, he's spiritually attacked and he's like, well, you just took my family, so I'm going to come and meet you. And the only way he knew it was pretty much light himself on fire and go meet the devil. And metaphorically, it's the whole movie's metaphoric, but it changes the fireman's life that saves his life. So it's really cool. It's a 2-part thing, but that's just something I want to talk to you about on a fun basis. You know what I mean, as friends. The other one is something that definitely we could already put in the protocol and maybe even start prototyping. You know what I mean? With some simple, in-home stuff.
The movie reminds me of Burning Man. I mean, another a synonym for Burning Man. Going and meeting the beast in your idea there.
Yeah, really. How interesting. Maybe that's one of the reasons why your energy came up when I thought of it, And the cool thing is, not to be a spoiler alert, but when he gets done and he takes the head of the devil and lops it down, and it's got to look back up at him as he tells him, he told me to get out of his throne. You're sitting in my chair. You know what I mean? You're in my seat, get out of it. And he got up all in, and the devil gets up and dig. This is the end of the whole thing. And the devil gets up all indignant, like, how dare you? And the guy says,
don't spoil alert.
Yeah, you're right. We won't go any farther, but back to physics and the energy that moves around us. Let's get back to that. You're absolutely correct. Everything I've done, I've got so many doctors that are tiptoeing all over it, but nobody really wants to commit to the light healing that we need. We're children of light. We come from light. Photosynthesis. These guys are now breaking out these beautiful enzymes that are coming out of plants. Well, they all get it from light. See, I mean, if you eat a plant, it came from light. If you eat an animal, it came from, it got its energy from the plant that came from light. You know what I mean? DC currents in our eyes, our skin and our eyes circulate more oxygen than our lungs do in a day. You know what I'm saying? Your eyes produce more infrared calcium than you could ever drink in any lye that was a gallon of milk. These are things that have been lost over so much time, and they're sacred knowledge, buddy. Everything I speak of is not my own. It's been written in stones, literally chiseled and painted on walls since the beginning of time. It's just been stolen and sold.
Yeah, and repackaged and hidden and clandestine and secret and doctrine and
you don't got money, you don't get it.
Esoteric.
You can't pay, you don't get it.
Mysterium.
Here's on the dynamics. I just put up a post in this thing about the origin of elements. I think we should do a whole casting on it. I want you to watch that, and then we can do a whole thing on it. Technetium, number 42 on the elemental scale, was found in the 1920s. Well, technetium only lasted. These are a couple of some of the middle elements are so unstable and radioactive that they destabilize within a couple hours, minutes, and or days. Okay. So technetium was found in 1920s. All right. Now, I only know this because they put blue dye in me from all the damage that's been done to my spine and my back and everything, my shoulders and everything. It's called a myelogram. And angioplasty will get you the blue dye in you. They got to see your nerves.
Yeah.
And everything they get. What's that?
I've had it before.
Well, there you go. See, you're already shackled. They've already put the cuffs on you, and now they can add anything to it. That dye and all that took 53,548 mistrials before the 49th one got it right. So that's 53,549 time it finally got right. That means everything before that.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's like the light bulb,
Yeah. Well, wait, no, look at the light bulb. Look at the light bulb. Let's really look at the light bulb and Edison. Edison didn't take 10,000 times to get the filament right. He already got it right. We still have Edison light bulbs that are still working to this day. It took 10,000 times for him to figure out how to not make it work. Follow me? He took 10,000 times to come up with the perfect filament that wore out after so many hours. So Buddy felt justified that he spent that money for that bulb. Go back and demand that he gets a new bulb because it's a piece of crap.
Right.
That's what 10,000. Let's get that clear. And I can show you proofs to all of his experimentations will show you dematerialization of filamentation. Instead of trying to, if he could have had an iron rod right off the rip and had a glow rod right off the rip and never have it wear out. He's already got them. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And that's why I say the argons, whether you're using whether you're using a barium mist, whether you're actually going to infuse it with mercury vapor. You know, that's why they don't use mercury. If you got a mercury vapor bulb, the energy, the geometry coming off of that, the energy, the light value is in saturating you with mercury vapor. You don't even have to be around the, you know, you don't have to lick up mercury. You don't have to have it get in touch with your skin. See, this is the misnomer. You know, these light values are permeating us and destroying us.
Right. They took the mercury bulbs off of all the shelves here in Michigan. I haven't seen any of them.
Thank you very much. But the damage is already done. They'll apologize later, right? Then they sue the company and blah, blah, blah. Now let's get back to Technetium. Let's get to Technetium.
Sorry, real quick. I remember hearing that if one of those mercury light bulb, which is just the spiral ones, spiral light bulb, you know, there's a spiral ones that are popular and they were standard here for a little bit. That's all you could get.
And a government mandate. I'm already running legislature. Someday, all the legislature I'm putting together are going to slam this. But go ahead.
And if you break one in a school, the whole school has to get evacuated, or a hospital, or anything. That's what I hear. That's what I heard. I don't know if that was real or not, but like
that's what they're telling you. And let's go with that. Let's just for S and G's right now, buddy, me and you accept, and the whole audience, whoever's listening right now, we don't argue it at all that that's not truth. So we're going to say, okay, that's truth, and that's how it is. All right, let's say it is truth. Now let's look at that same potential and say, wow, that same radiant value, let's get right back to what I was talking about here, is the same light radiant value is emitting in the same faction. You should already be evacuating the kids out of the school if the light bulb didn't break. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're poisoning kids all day long. And the fact that it's UVB light. See, this is another thing. See, these are what I'm talking about, the legislation. In 222, me and Trump will meet, and we'll have it out one way or the other. He's going to have my foot up his ass, or you know, he's going to put me on a payroll. I don't know how it's going to work out, but he's going to know that he's accountable at that point, because by then the algorithm will come together. The science we're talking about now and what you share. I wish you're going to find out how potentially integral your Dougherty set is with everything that I'm amassing and what I'm sharing right now, and that our world needs in a big way, because you know, your stuff makes it textbook ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about makes you sit the hell down and literally start to drool and babble your you know, follow me. So you take what I'm going from and you're like, yeah, see what he's saying? Here it is. Here's the proofs. See what I'm getting at? Right. I said every single light spectrum that's split out. If you got red and you start dissecting it, whether you're pulling green values out, orange values, yellows, blues, it doesn't matter. Any substrate you want to go through. Guess what? There's a Dougherty set there.
Yeah, and it's not an echo chamber. You're not just reassuring me for shits and giggles.
I'm not. No, I am conclusively confirming it for you.
Right, and I know that. And I just want the audience to know, and I have to say this. You know, this is. Go look through our videos. Go look at the maps that I've amassed and the content, the prolific content that keeps coming out of this one drawing. There's already 10 more that I made, and there's an infinite amount more than that. So like, these are the spectra. There's cosmic spectra, and there's your spectrographs, and like you can basically just start breaking down all sorts of first principle fundamental geometries off of stars, and how they implode, the explosive and implosive nature, and all the stuff that Buckminster Fuller talks about with omnidirectional everything, the stuff that Peter Higgs talks about with the Higgs field and the Higgs particles. And you know, I just had to start releasing it even before the book, because it's podcast. I make them, I can whip them together. Like, I had nothing to say yesterday, and then all of a sudden 6 o'clock rolls around, and I putzed around a little bit on this, took a nap, woke up, and then putzed around a little bit more, and I realized, wait a minute, when we get into this episode more, we can realize that there's so much stuff here that is that there's no words for yet, or that there's already words for, and it's
terminology. Yeah, that's my hardest thing, is taking what you see from a vision that there was nothing was said, and you're like, I'm not even sure if I saw the vision, but it was there. I could see it echoing out, but there was no sound. You heard nothing, but yet it was all told to you. You saw nothing, but yet everything was seen. I mean, everything you describe about the place before words, buddy, is got to be an oxymoron. I felt nothing, but it was like a big warm hug. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know what I'm saying? You've been there. I know that because your creative design shows it. And I'm telling you, talk about the plurific, is the fact when me and you get together and you see my artwork, that there's no way on earth it could be like that. You know what I mean? Like me and you didn't know each other from Adam up until recently, and all this stuff was already done. In fact, I have to pull it from Georgia to get it. And when you see it, you'd be like, no way, dude. Wow. You know, and you know, because it's so parallel, it can only come from one spirit, one conscious, one thread, one love. They just the end of it all. Love sees all, just like you said. That's, you know, that's our communion right there. And we're to give this to the world.
Well, like for a while, I thought it was the in the soil in like lake effect intelligence, like we have here in Michigan, lake effect snow, lake effect wind, lake effect weather. I thought, you know, there was a lake effect intelligence, and then, you know, like the and I talk about this on other episodes. There's so much that happens right here in Detroit. You know, the Paris of America, and the Paris of the Midwest, or whatever they said. But either way, um, this this energy here, that's the morphic resonance that's already in the ground from the largest living fossil barrier reef, has to play some sort of a role in, you know, the Wright brothers, the invention of the engine, you know, all these different types of music that have started here. Motown, you know, Michael Jackson's right here. There's Madonna, there's Eminem, there's big, like really bold people right around this general vicinity, this area.
Well, yeah, and then look, we got to add in Ohio in there, because I really believe
Right
that
along the border.
The Serpent
Yeah,
Mounds have a playing field in this. You know what I
indeed.
mean? That this whole valley, you know, was once, there's proofs that we were once tropical. And you know, everything is showing me right now, buddy, that the
You
river
can't
that used to come.
you
What's
can't win,
that?
real quick. You can't win the presidency unless you win Ohio.
Thank you.
We
Thank
know
you. I
that.
mean, there we go. I mean, literally, let's, you know, and notice that that thread will be play true in every single level across the board. Otherwise, it won't be true. So I'm glad you brought that up, even like you can't win. See what I mean?
Well,
Not
I
only
think also,
in ancient sacred temples, but you look at the energy, like you said, you know, you got to make an Ohio and Michigan, you know what I'm saying? Or you ain't making it.
mhm. It's also, you know, the capital of slave trade. You know, there's a big thing with, I've heard from other podcasts, or I don't know where I heard, but you know, like I kids go to Ohio first before they go up to other places. They check in there, then not only kids but traffic victims, I hear. And you know, Columbus, Ohio was one of the biggest areas for that. And now apparently, you know, Missouri is one of the biggest states. And with legislations changing one after another in places like Missouri, and age limits being dropped, and other weird stuff happening in California, where they even talk about it in Joe Rogan podcast, where a 20-year-old can be with a 10-year-old, and it's like, what is really, if, as long as it's consensual, it's like, what is really going on here?
This
You
is the
know,
stench that has gone to heaven,
and
and I agree.
you know, Kamala Harris was part of the bill, as far as I believe, with the gentleman that helped pass that legislation that allowed for that loophole to be there. It's bad. They talk about it on the Rogan show. I'm not ashamed to talk about it, you know, like, because it's not hidden information or edgy. It is edgy, but it's like, people need to understand that these are laws that are being passed. So, you know, oh, it's by the law, so you can live here, and but you know, she's the DA. Kamala Harris is the DA of California. And if we choose that direction, that's going to be, part of the whole. Never mind, put the two and two together. So let's get back to the episode here and hop into this geometry. This, and I just for the record, I don't vote, and I that's for my own reasons. So, and I don't care if people can tell me that's a dumb or a wise thing, whatever. People
Well,
can have their
I'll add to that if you don't mind, and we'll both
Yeah.
get thrown in canoe at the moment, whether it's got a hole in it and we got, I mean, we're sinking or we're swimming or sailing or whatever. I don't either. I don't belong to that corporate fraudulent entity that's run by a foreign interest. That's the frog here. I'm here to split. I'm literally the official world champion frog hair splitter.
Right.
Yeah, have you ever seen a frog hair?
Yeah, don't let them split you and polarize your thoughts and your hearts and your body.
Oh, look at the word politics. The word politics itself has a tick and a polarity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter where you're at, you can't have union. I can't commune with anything that won't have union. So, for one, if Trump ain't my president, and I don't care what's in there, he's not my president. But I set my precedent is set before me. I don't even get to set it. It's already set before me, and that's where the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence all came from.
Think of that word, Constitution. That's what things are made of. Constitution. That's what it's made of. That's your body. There's the constitution of it is everything in it. That's your ingredients.
Thank you. What are you constituted of? Amen.
And what are you resolute? What are you resolute to do? What are you going to make your mind up to do? You have to be resolute in your decision making and not be so wishy-washy or what's the word? Fickle,
Yeah. Well, unintegral would be a better word. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because integral, to me, that's the ultimate word that binds it all. Because either you're integral, we're 3 trillion cells. Either you're integral or you just grew apart. Even the original fathers of the Constitution, I'll go right to the preamble and to James Madison and John Adams. John Adams himself wrote in the preamble of the Constitution, he said, "A righteous man needeth no government." But it all stops there. Well, a righteous man, let's really look at that. And I don't mean a church going righteous man. I don't mean some coffer robbing, some cradle robbing, pedophiliac up there trying to damn people into hell. I am not talking about a man of the collar of the Catholic or any other faith out there. This is not a shameful. All religions are lesser than love. It's just an interference and a confusion of what's being asked of us. What I'm talking about is the real integral. Before then, you know what I mean? That guess what? Me and Buddy, all right, I just talked about this light thing, okay? That me and Buddy could go into a contract as 2 integral men and go, wow, we really want to come up with something good here. I think this would be a good proportionary percentage basis split. And then we're going to take 10% of it. And we're going to split that and maybe put it into an escrow account or another account that's going to do good off of it because it's part of the term lifelike. So, I mean, 2 integral men go into contract, no fraudulency at all, and they bear out a good fruit. That is a righteous man. See what I mean?
Yes. And I just recently came upon a possible funding. So
all this is crazy, and these are what I want, this is my ministry. I want to produce something that's going to residually help my ministry, be a part of it, yet, I integrally, I can charge for it because it is something we put together. It's not an idea. Freely given, freely give. All my information I give, health wise, everything like that is all freely given. But this would be something you would have to, purchase. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I feel good that it would actually be a part of, facilitating funds for a ministry and doing what we're doing. Imagine if there was no end to the means of which we could start, your bubble sculpting. I would love to see your bubble sculpting become part of every curriculum from 3 and 4-year-olds into preschool. And I'll say preschooling, but that's where the genius begins. So, all the way through, to the 12th grade where, we're putting together stuff where you're literally making a plastic frog or something with guts and everything. I don't know. But these are the kind of things that was interactive that I had when I was a kid. And when I see your work, I see that opening and cracking open minds. So
Yes.
these are the things I'm talking about.
Well, it's what's really cool about the combination here of the Dougherty set and bubble sculpting is you start off with a pattern that you don't really understand, but there's a million different things to do in it, and it describes quite a bit. And the more you understand, the more you know you don't know, because everybody's still like, I don't get it. And I'm on episode 41, and it's like, what's not to get? Like and literally, I still don't get it. But I keep describing it on deeper, finer details, so that we all can understand some of these revelations, these theories, these beginning ideas that are hatching, and geometry for a white light, for white energy. If someone wants to call it white wizardry, or it's not white wizardry. It's different. Hang on.
No, let's go with this.
Yeah, I'm not a wizard. It's not white wizardry. It's not magic.
I want to help you with that term right now, because this is what's been coined to me. Now, and this man, it gives me the red hairs and gives me the red ass, like I can't believe when I hear it, is these idiots who got literally the Nobel Peace Prize for dark matter and dark energy. And he got it by swirling around a cup of coffee. And for one, if you use word dark anything, you are in darkness. You are an absolute ignorant or a shill. One of the two. You're either propagating a lie that you know of, or you're perpetuating a lie that you're ignorant of. Because there's only two things out there. It's pure light and visible light. Pure light comes before the gamma. Pure light controls the gamma. In fact, pure light decided what gamma wave is. Pure light is why it's black out there past the stars. Pure light is what's cross-sectioned between certain stones that are mentioned in, wow, you happen to have 12 of them from the biblical perspective of New Jerusalem, the breastplate, the New Jerusalem temple, the church. Follow me? These are actually segregated out in a certain sequencing value, so that way when they substrate with light, they bring about certain frequency healing exchanges. This is what it's all about. It all breaks down from pure light. That's why, again, it's black out there. So we can, instead of saying dark energy or dark, no. You got no dark. The only darkness is in an evil heart.
A couple of synonyms for pure light would be dark mode plasma. And I use the word dark because I thought of that is.
We need to get rid of the word dark at all. I'm telling you right now, because dark has no value. The only way we can determine dark is its light value. So how can you have darkness? See what I mean? Do you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
I just really want to stress this in an utmost value. So, really, this is something that has to change. If we don't go from that idea of even saying the word dark, we are not going to take people out of the shadows. The word light has to be brought out. Everything is from light. And look what came to light. Everything's fallen apart because of light pedophilia. Everything's spread to light because of, on the lies. The light and the truth are the same. And all I'm saying is, if you put the word dark in there anyway, you're already leading people astray. Because
either way, both of the words have been taken and usurped, or attempted to be usurped.
And minimalized. Why don't we use compressed oxygen? You don't have matter. You have carbonizing. See what I mean? Matter is only created by the carbonizing effect. How much oxygen are you carbonizing in matter with protons, right? How many protons? There's your table of elements. How many protons are in an element? See what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? So we really need to get down to this. What is a proton? You know what I mean? It's the stupid thing about a photon. You can't see it. The Higgs boson. These guys are all circle jerking and you know what I mean? Giving each other slaps on the back over something you can't see, doesn't exist, but yet you can see the energy wave from and what it came from. That's where I come up with that thing with the origins of the universe and the technetium that they're running through our bodies. do you understand the values of radiation that your body is being exposed to when it's being hit with 2 days of technetium running through it? You are now set up for failure. You just dehydrated a body to the point of flu or cold-like symptoms.
How do
You
they get the
just,
technium in us?
it's in everything medical. I haven't found the end of it. I can't say what it's all in right now because of the
Oh,
fact it's endless.
oh, I didn't
Technetium,
even know it was. I didn't even know it was an element until you told me today. I talk about it as a um, technology becoming an organism. You know.
oh, yeah, no. Technetium is actually, it was found in 1920 and it has 42 protons attached to it. See what I'm getting at? See what I'm saying? And you're an intelligent guy and this is your field, correct?
Yeah.
See, and I'm not being facetious in one way, shape, or form, brother. I'm really being honestly and humble about this.
No,
That
I
the
love
only
listening.
that we even as you even in your field can bump into this is through divine appointment. You know what I mean? Like how would I this is not my field. The only reason why I know all these things is because murdering modern medicine and its ways um, decided that they was just going to feed me a ton of radiation in a short amount of time, which put my autoimmune into a deficiency and struck my RNA into a point where I was below 1,000 count of my RNA cells. You can't do that to somebody. And that's good. And that led me to go to the AMA. I can show you everything I'm talking about, buddy, that's already precursored through the AMA and the ADA records. And that means that
Oh,
American Medical Association already knows all this stuff. They know what they're doing. They know they shouldn't be doing it. The ADA the same way, pulling teeth out. You should never pull teeth out, not without severing the nerve. If I were to prune your trees, I wouldn't come over and just start shucking at your branches, bro. I would come over with my finest pruners and clip them. And then I would stab them afterwards so they would heal properly, whether it's paint, whether it's a balm of tar, it doesn't matter, correct? And your tree would heal. Am I being,
yeah.
this is simple common knowledge that we apply to other things. Why do we allow somebody to go in there and pull a tooth out without ever severing a nerve? I actually have a tool design that would sever a nerve for you and never harm anything else. If you needed your tooth removed, let's sever it like a piece of a tree that needs to be pruned, like a branch. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
Man, this is why me and you need to get together because, and in real energy, and I don't mean here on the phone, I mean like, we're just you and me, we're sharing our, what we've been shared with, and we don't know apologies for a world listening, you know, because this is where we're at a point where, people are going to keep going into darkness if they keep watching that TV. People know how to listen to news, but they don't know how to search for knowledge or search for truth. You can't tell somebody how to navigate through the U.S. Congressional records. I couldn't tell a person that's never been to Fort how to get through the patent office. See
Okay.
what I'm
So
getting at?
yeah, this is it here, and it's technetium.
Technetium. There you go. Pardon me. There you go. Technetium. There we go. My
Element.
apologies. I forgot a T.
Okay.
But
It's the
yeah, that's
lightest.
it.
It's the lightest element whose isotopes are all radioactive, none of which is
Thank you very
stable.
much. Now look at what they use in medical. Bring it up what they look in medical. I haven't found the end of it. It's used in everything. It's used in vaccines. It's used, you know what I mean? What are you doing to people? See what I'm
History.
getting at? And these are, this is no knowledge, but it's not being shared. Again, it's been stolen and sold.
Official discovery in later history. Do.
Should be show up in like 1920, 1924.
Yeah, but they're not going to tell you that it's using, are they? That it's going to
Oh yeah. Well, no, you have to probably go to a different area and bring up on their uses for technetium
waste
in medical
disposal,
uses.
particle accelerator. Okay, I'll highlight it, and I'll do technetium
In medical uses.
medical.
And again, they're being very vague, and that's why I didn't bring up like I'm not going to solidify to what it's being used in, but it is being used, and they're using it in that blue dye, that angioplasty dye and the myogram dye and stuff like that.
Is isotope commonly used in a number of medical diagnostics imaging scans.
Thank you. What did I just tell you?
9M. I'm like, Mom, what is it? What is it, Mom? Oh, honey, it's radioactive. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah, it's okay. It's only going to generate enough radioactivity to charge up a damn nuclear facility for several months, and we're just going to run it through your body for a day or two. See, and they tried to do that to my son. They wanted to get my CAT scan and put that stuff in him, and he told them no. You know, they ended up injecting with all kinds of other stuff. I got a huge lawsuit against them too. It's been sickening what they're trying to do to us, buddy. It really is sickening. And again, see, and this is something that now I've known about this for a while, but now I just watched this table of elements thing, you know, the ordinary elements, and it just hit home for the first time, you know, how it ties in together. See what I'm getting at? So everything about, and this, I'm going to give this advice to you, not advice, I'm going to give this wisdom to you, because I will not add advice to anyone. If I add advice to you, you'll be locked in right there. No. Wisdom, give you the wise dome that was shared with me. Everything, return everything back to the table of elements. If it's a frequency, go back to the frequency that would be evolved by the table of elements. If it's a number, 42, see what I mean? That number keeps coming up, you know, go back to the table of elements. See what I'm saying? Everything is a table of elements. Everything goes back to there. There's not a single elemental problem or a solution that can't be solved, found, and or adhered to there.
Okay, here's the only thing I can find about it. Is technetium poisonous or hazardous? Technetium has no biological role. Technetium does not occur naturally in the biosphere and so normally never presents a risk. All technetium, technetium compounds should be regarded as highly toxic, largely because of its radiological toxicity.
But see now there, if you didn't think about anything, that you know what I'm saying. Now look at what they'll do with on it.
Can technetium kill you? If you spent all day wearing it as a hat or breathing it in as dust, it could definitely kill you. One of the defining, so we'll just put it in our fucking blood. One of the defining characteristics of technetium is that it is the lightest element with no stable isotopes. They said it comes out of the body.
Couldn't find it until 1920, buddy.
6 hours it supposedly comes out of the body, and they say it doesn't harm you. Yeah, right.
See, well, again, let's look at the generated heat value that you have to burn off through that, and all the cells that it'd be like running a road flare. It'd be like Buddy being a macrophage, you know, bacteria macrophage, and you were running through the body with a road flare, just burning everybody you went by. You know what I mean? Like, hey, hold this. Hey, hold this. Hey, hold this.
Okay,
and you just kept burning everyone.
Technetium 99 may be reappraised for a host. How much does it cost? For a host of potential uses, both military and civilian, in the lightest of its drastic prices cut just announced by Oak Ridge National Laboratory under the revised schedule, price drops from 16,000 or 1,600 to 2,800 a gram range, depending on quantity. They're banking on killing us. Once again.
What did I tell you, buddy? This is what I'm saying. And me and you, isn't that funny? Like, we're the only ones here today.
Here it is.
I have to be here for this call today with you.
How is technetium 9M used in medicine? The technetium 9M radioisotopes, and I'm not even on DuckDuckGo. This is on Google.
Buddy, that's what I'm telling you. See,
They're not even hiding it.
You're only seconds behind me at this point. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
I just found this out 3 days ago, and I already started going through it. And like I said, it's in everything. It's in the, you know, and it's also, I'm finding that now, once you can prove and show that it's in these damn vaccinations, but see, you can't really show that because once the vaccination is done, it's unstable, right? So somehow or another, this has got to be added into it to burn it in. These, you know, I mean, these things, this is no joke that we found this and that we're even talking right now.
Okay, so the technetium 99 radioisotope is used predominantly in bone and brain scans.
Thank you. CAT scans, they wanted to put it in my son.
How is technetium 9M used in medicine? That's the question this comes for bones.
Well, because of its phosphorant value. It's what lights up so they can see your nerves. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
That's the glow. That's the glowworm.
Shit.
And if
Man,
it's not, that's what they're saying it's for, and you still truly don't need it. So see what I'm getting at? You don't need technetium in your system at all, ever. I don't care what they want to say. There's another way around it. Does that make sense? That, or it's the same
yeah,
thing as why they said lead had to be put in your gasoline once upon a time because it'll burn your
right,
valves if you don't.
right.
It was a lie too. And I
Yeah,
can show you all the precursors for that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm done arguing with people about this stuff. I mean, I'll just point you in the right direction. If that don't work, I got another finger too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because this has gotten volatile. And we're at a point now where this president, who's supposed to be the president again, he will be because he's already signed on for putting the third temple in place. If anybody doesn't know that, then they're a joke of a politic follower. But they don't understand the fact that Trump got in 2016 because he made promises to get Jerusalem as the capital. Oh, wow, that went through. Yeah, wow, he can be counted on. That happened. Wow, we need to have the temple built. All the engineered architectural designs are done for the third temple of Jerusalem. Do you know that, buddy?
yeah. It's old news.
Yeah, but do you know that one of them was, well, I'll just say it. One of them was murdered right off the rip, and there's only two of the architects left. Did you know that?
Well, they probably commissioned three, and they're going to kill two, and the winning one's going to do it, and then they're going to kill the third one as a sacrifice.
Well, you got to leave one to be the public manager, but you know what I mean?
Well,
So
they're going to,
somebody's got to be watching the hen house.
yeah,
But what I seen was one of the original ones that was presented. So you think about it, you got a guy that did all the diagrams and the plans to the areas they don't want nobody to know about. Now you got the other two guys that are called in to work after him. You know what I mean? Because it's too much for him, right? And this is out of their own mouth. I mean, I'm literally, these guys here were the ones that were bringing up the question that they thought it was odd how this dude just kind of died. And that's what brought the red flag to me, right? I'm listening to the interview. They're in, I think, Tel Aviv television or something, Radio Tel Aviv or something. I think that's the name of it, the show that it was on. But yeah, they brought it up as, wow, that was kind of odd. This guy just mysteriously died after he did his section of the plan. You know what I'm saying? You can't make this stuff up, buddy.
your working in the background is a little loud and distracting.
Oh,
I have to say
sorry
that.
about that. I got to, I'm trying to get out of the, I'm actually painting today, so I was walking back into the room as.
Yeah. So, if you want to mute your mic, we can continue on the conversation.
Do
Um,
that.
but just when you're talking, just stop working for a minute or stop,
Yeah,
please.
I tried as I walked over it. That was me like realizing, oh my goodness, I'm walking on the bubble paper, but it wasn't bubble paper. But you know, I could tell I'm like, oh God, it's got to be coming through the background on that. But
But
yeah, I'm already off of it.
it's awesome that you brought this up here. So I'm going to continue talking about it for a second. Where is technetium found on Earth? Some scientists believe that technetium will be found in very small amounts in the Earth's crust along with other radioactive materials such as uranium and radium. However, it has never been found on Earth. It has, however, been found in certain types of stars. Okay, so that's strange. Okay,
Well,
so
here's the thing. Now I want you to keep this in mind too, since we are rolling along with the topic matter. Um, you know, the Hadron Collider never was and is not made to have ever found the Higgs boson. Okay, that's the whole thing. That's the shell they want you to look at while they're jamming the other two around and shuffling them. Does that make sense, sir? I just want to say that wholeheartedly. That thing was meant for one to make gold, and for two to make stuff like technetium. Because why? These certain things and these certain elements, and this is where I come to terms with when I realize this happened alchemaically, that 3,000 Kelvin degrees of the creation of the universe temperature is the dew point. It is, the universe didn't have to get to that or try to get to that temperature. No, 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 no. It had to cool down to that temperature because the very first teardrop that ever was created in all of creation is our universe, and we're held in it right now. And people don't seem to quite get that. But that's why everything and anything comes off of that table of elements. and you can't make anything without it, you know. And I believe the table of elements is incomplete. I believe we, you know, the 104 they got, there's at least 108. You know, we just can't cook them. And certain things can't even mate. They can't even bind together unless you have certain temperatures, extremities. You know what I mean? Like millions of degrees. You know what I mean? That's how stars are formed. That's why I thought it was great. This ties into what you said about, you know, the geometry of stars and formations of galaxies and stuff are literally looking like human beings, you know, because that's what they are. They're celestial beings. That's why they're referred to in an intimate level in biblical and, you know, extra biblical texts.
We've known this throughout time. We've known this throughout all different religions and mythos and expressions of understanding that that our emotions affect the weather and each other. So they're like gods. So like we named them, you know, possibly gods or spirits or whatever, and we realized and that when we're bad in a certain manner, when we're more depraved, there's like larger consequences in certain areas, and you get past you know, a certain number and people start going berserk. It's like there's just a
well, let me put proof to that, and we'll keep it simple. And this is a great showing of it. All right, you look at that, the berserk part. People will go berserk, and this is what's happening with the 5G stuff and the 4G, but mostly with the 5G because it's a microwave. All right, and I'll go with this. We're going to divide 100 by 3. What does that leave us with, buddy?
divide
100. Now I could go on forever, and that one might finally make you go, dude, stop it. You know, I mean, just what would you quit it? All right. Now that's not even carrying a frequency, right? I didn't punch, you know, a frequency, and I just started carrying it over in an audio sound, right? Now let's double that. Let's double that, and this is where it gets interesting. Now, if we double that, you end up with what? If we take 2/3 of 100, you know, we doubled the 1/3. It's now what? What is the sound that comes out? See what I mean? Now that one's a little different. It's a little harsher. If I kept that up for 10 minutes, I doubt you would let me go that far. I'm going to go with a minute of that, and you're going to just ask me nicely. Within 3 minutes, you are going to punch me in the face, whether we've been friends since 6th grade or not. You got me? Do you understand what I'm saying? So think about these at levels you can hear them at. And now let's take them to perturbations, which is a beautiful word. I love that elemental term. The perturbation that's going off if you can't hear it. And now you don't even know why you're pissed, but somewhere in that drive home, as you've been exposed to this saying, being in the GPS of your car and or the roads, you get home and you just want to kick your cat, fight with your kids, your wife. See what I mean? You don't even know why you're being agitated, bro. They don't care what Buddy's going to do. They just care Buddy's going to do it. And then they can put it on the news and say they need more laws against it.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't nothing. I'm not even being conspiracy theory. I wanted to know none of this stuff. I was well on my way to being the greatest artist in the world, bro. I had 10,000 square feet of creativity down at the Russell Industrial Center. I had all the Fire Guild, you know, the Detroit Fire Guild hanging out with me doing art performances. This is not how I intended my life to be. You too, right? You know what I'm talking about when you got tapped on the shoulder in the same manner, correct, sir?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. When were you hanging out with the Detroit Burners? I was hanging out with them in 07, 06.
All the way from 08, 09, all the way up until 14 or 12, up until 2013 was when me and my, I was the 6th floor studios. I was up on the very 6th floor of the Russell. I was right under the water tower. You probably came to a couple gigs even. I'm serious, man. You knew Brick from the Fire Guild, Eric, and all them guys. You know, those guys were great. Nina, Who was the one there was one lady that got everybody in. I watched her doing the fire hoop.
Doxy?
And when she, not Nicole. I think it's something like Nicole though. Nikki. She had dark hair. Nina. No, not Nina. No, that was Swati. One of the other ones anyway. I saw her doing the fire hoop and I fell in love with it. I'm like, that's exactly what I want for my stage performances around my artwork. You people come up here, and I let everybody in for free. And me and Brick come up with the thing because he collected a hat. And I said, you guys can come in. And he said, well, I collect a hat. I'll split the hat with you. Whatever it is, I'll split it with you. So if it was $5, I got $2.50 for a Thursday night of everybody coming in practicing. If it was $50, I got $25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I opened up the studios, and that's where everybody practiced on those Thursdays and stuff down at the Russell.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah, they're dear people. They just, I'm serious. They just, I'll just say, infected my heart with everything good, man. I just love the passions in them. Brick taught me how to handle fire. Goodness sakes. Good, man. I can't think of his name right now. He taught me to balance on the slack rope.
Eric Baker?
Yeah, Eric Baker. He's another one, man. I love that guy. He was down there for a little bit. They had a little bit of a, conflict of interest.
What is it? When you get married, your bachelor party. He was at my bachelor party, dude.
No way, dude. He's the best, man.
Love him.
I love that dude. He went down to Ohio or something, didn't he?
You know what? I seen him last. I saw a post. Was like he was looking to rent out a bedroom that he was in, and I'm not sure. I haven't heard much from him in a while.
Oh wow, man! Great people, all of them, man. Adam, all them guys. John Sutterby. All them, man.
Yeah.
All great people, and wonderful, warm part of my life. You know what I'm saying? I learned how to crack a whip, how to handle fire. You know what I mean? And these guys really taught me a respect for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't know much about any of it, and I met the Burners in 06 when I was really young, and I mean I'm still really young, but like it was
that's
just
a lifetime ago now, bro. You know, we are I don't mind being called sir. That's how old I got.
Yes, sir.
It used to bother you, it doesn't mean like, hey man, what do you mean, sir? But you look like me, when I was 24, I looked 36. I had a guy call me sir, and I'm like, quit calling me sir, dude. He's like, well, I'm just respecting you, figure my age. I'm like, what? I said, dude, you don't look 24. And he goes, I thought you were 36.
When I shave this beard off, you'd be surprised, bro.
Yeah. I get as young as 29, but I swear to goodness, I think that girl was trying to pick up on me. I'm just being honest. I think she was like hoping, you know what I mean? Like, maybe, But I thought, wow, that's cool. 29, I can dig that. But yeah, we got that baby shit face if we shave it, but we're just hair farmers, so why fight it?
Indeed. So, mind if I say hop into this, and because I have quite a bit of stuff here, I'm gonna pull.
I want you to do that, and don't mind that I don't say a thing. I'm gonna mute my mic. Would that be okay with you?
That's fine. And if I holler out for you, or if you wanna hop in at any time, that's fine. But I do have quite a bit I'd like to say about these structures.
No, go right ahead. I'm going to be literally, I got workers showing up here on my paint job, and we're remodeling a home, and one of the beautiful parts of my ministry, and being handed over to families and stuff. It's just great. So you do your thing, bro, and I'm going to let you do it, man, and I'm just going to quietly chill for a moment, man. And give me about, try and keep up for about a half an hour or so before you even call on me, okay?
Hey, absolutely. Thanks, brother.
All right. Keep going, man. Bye-bye.
All right.
I'm on here.
Thanks. Okay, so we've gotten into this shape here, and I've talked quite extensively about it. And okay, that's better on my mic. Maybe it's too much. All right, I turned it up a little bit there. Okay, so these kind of look like bats. I noticed this, and we've been talking about I guess not much yet, but sonar, and how sonar is like invisible and it's with sound. Now I don't want to use the word dark, but the Dark Knight Rises, and uh, the terminology that is being played in the Marvel universe and the Disney universe that combined and became one, and the Pixar universe. There's a darkness, that's happening in the New Mutants, and in all the what's being shown here. They keep hinting at something about MK Ultra and being stuck inside of uh, these buildings. Now I know this has happened to people. Um, I've met them. I've interviewed them. I've talked with some of them, both in person and and here, like interviewing, like I said. And there's like a superhuman type of quality that they're trying to tell these people that they have, like superpowers. And I didn't go through any of this type of MK Ultra stuff, but I feel these superpowers. I didn't have to be abused to understand that these superpowers exist, and you can access them, and they're at the deepest recesses of your mind. If you want to go into yourself and be, uh, there's a word that I was thinking just there. When you go into yourself, you're learning about yourself, and you're going into the universe and thinking about deeper infinities of infinities, and stacking fractal layers, and like how deep can your mind really go. It can really go super deep, but how deep are you willing to take it? Are you going to take it to that extent? And that's when you realize that these layers of these shapes, these crystalline cathedrals, can be built, um, with breath work, just simple breathing. Um, Temples are designed to be symbiotic with nature and to reflect the curvatures that are in different types of architecture. But a lot of it's to emulate nature, um, and the throughout all different types of architecture, these these types of Tibetan bells, cathedrals, steeples, spires. These things are all scientific, um, and they're scientific also, not just constructs of archaeological edifices that people walk into and pray, and they're auditorial. They're meant to be amphitheaters. Sometimes they're meant to amplify the sounds, and whatever sound you put out there is what reverberates. And just like whatever, uh there's lightness and darkness, and whatever one you water, you're gonna is gonna grow. If you keep watering just the dark side, you're gonna be infiltrated by the dark side. Not fully. I mean, everybody has a willpower. What do you want to just test it until it snaps? You know, I don't know. I mean, Stephen King, he it seems like he might not have freaked out. Um, I don't know. He's probably freaked out in his life. And people who do murderous podcasts, I don't know if they freak out, but surrounding yourself with that kind of energy all the time is got to have and does have an effect on your body and in your mind, is what I'm saying ultimately right here. And whatever side you water is going to grow. So you and I can water the light side, or the foliations. Like, these are light foliations, these are plasmoids, these are pinches. We can choose to illuminate each one. We don't need to use darkness to illuminate light and to see the light path. In order to be a light bearer, you don't need to be dark to go into the terror to see the light, is what I'm saying. And this is a false misnomer. Sure, we have all disobeyed or done wrong things or broke the law in one way or another, but you don't have to continuously dip your chassin into the evil in order to be illuminated. That's what I want to tell people. I want that message to be known, because a lot of people are saying that you can't have one without the other. You gotta dive into your dark side in order to know the light, and I just don't fully believe that that's true. So test me in the comments, or test me, show me, prove me wrong, whatever. I don't know. So we're going to continue on here. So what I mean by space cartilage and space bones is like an Oort cloud. Look at this. This is beamforming, and beamforming on a cell phone. Now, when you take these fields, you can do something that I'm going to introduce, if it's not already introduced yet, that I thought of but first, before I introduce these, I'm going to show what beamforming is, and beamforming on your cell phone. But keep in mind, it's going to have to do with these larger types of space vehicles, and that have already been designed with artificial gravity, with loops. But this is a lot more than just that. It's similar to the Dougherty or the Vajra when it's put together, but I've assembled it and I'm still learning what it is. So this, taken apart and broken into its bones, is these parts. These are the bones. Now the cartilage is what connects them and builds and grows. So let's go into beamforming. And then we're going to go into phased array beamforming. So beamforming is when you take the cell tower and you connect it to your phone, and it also connects to other things, other smart devices in your home. These are different beams that are forming, but they're also, you can create phased beam forming, phased array beam forming, which is like heterodyning plasma, or layers of plasma, double layers of plasma, but in an electromagnetic phased array. Now, this, showing it from the cell phone, this idea that I want to show is imagine that you can create resonant coupling, which is taking one thing from one place and transporting it to another place. Right here. Here's your driving coil and your implant coil. Here's the electric field. But anyway, this right here, here's the beam forming and resonant inductive coupling. They can, what I'm saying is they can work the same, and that your brain does the same thing and can build scaffolding of like archangels as resonant fields, and we do, and a lot of people call this channeling. These resonant fields, which people once referred to as demons or angels, they create these cavities, and this resonant looping. Now, okay, these I don't need this. I don't need this. But this idea here is that you can do this, and they are being done this to our bodies. We are being used as wetware for these beam forming, and this is like your cell phone holding these energies, and our thoughts can do the same thing and build like a bone structure. And that's what geometry does to our minds. It allows us to build these hierarchical scaffolding structures. And when we see geometry fully produced as its opus magnum, or its whatever, your greatest achievement, your magnum opus, geometry is a cathedral. Geometry becomes what we live in. Geometry becomes what we reflect, what we want in our domicile, in our dome, in our domicile, in our home. Now, this important idea here is that I think this is already being done. It can be done using our cell phones with certain frequencies. They could make us think certain stuff, which we already know through cyclotron resonance and other things that I was showing here earlier. They could replicate those fields in a hierarchical dimension that sounds like fluttering, almost like drones, an army of drones around your head. And it's just the fact that this implant is a real electromagnetic skeleton, that it is allowed to be imprinted through you, reflect through your bones, because there's the receiver and there's the transmission that comes out of the phone. Then there's the receiver, your bones, that reflect it back up and out, or even in your head, that can create these geometries to bring you into higher levels. There's music that does this. But what I'm worried about, and not really worried about, but pretty sure is what's going on, is that with some of these newer phones, they can make people's self-esteem go up and down based off of the frequencies, and really skeletal implant of these hard-bodied type of illusions that aren't there, that can seem real. So then people think that they're psychotic, but they're not. And some people say that they're targeted individuals, and who knows if they are or not. and just there's a lot of things that are going on that are really strange out there, and all I want to do is a zoom 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 and a boom boom, just shake your rump. That was a song in the 90s that I grew up to. But no, I'll continue to, I'm going to go here for a minute and show how this can be implemented in not only your mind, but also in your psyche and also in your spatial dimension and spatial reasoning, and everything more. This is Lagrangian points. Oh, this one right here. This is cool. So I'm going to skim through this video here and show this is the parking spaces of space, the Lagrange points, or Lagrange points, whatever. The Lagrange points are points where the forces are acting on an object are perfectly balanced. Assume we have an object that orbits the sun along with the Earth. We're going to use a rotating coordinate system. This rotates at the same speed as the Earth moves. So in this coordinate system, the Earth doesn't move. Now let's look at all the forces that are at work here. To account for the fact that this coordinate system is rotating, we have to add a centrifugal force that pushes out away from the sun. This is a bad way of looking at it, but I mean, I guess this is blah, blah, blah. This is a gravitational way to look at it. This is an electric way, but this gets you an idea of looking at it. It's a parking spot. And there should be 3 other ones. Yeah, right here. It becomes like a peace sign. It's actually pretty cool. Okay, so ignore this point, but here.
But see, now what you're bringing up there, just before it went to this, this kind of like acrylic version of it.
Yeah.
Most people, we're still fighting over the idea of whether it's a flat Earth or whether it's sitting still or a globe or whatever. The idea people don't understand that we are actually moving in a gridded pattern, and we are now. That's why we're moving into the house of Horus, the house of Egypt.
Yep.
We're coming out of the house of Seth, which was the desert, which means now we're coming into a life of abundance and the change of consciousness. And that is one of the things that they are trying utmost to prevent is us from reoccurrence into this consciousness again. Because guess what? They don't get the Lord over us in this new consciousness.
So that's a good point. But what I also want to illustrate here is that these points right here, this is a gridded system, and these points right here are locked. They're in lockstep. Okay, we are in lockstep. We are in duration lockstep. When you can get a society to be in lockstep, it's the new norm. That's what's going on.
But look at what you're looking at, those dots. You got 4, there's 5 green dots, correct?
Yeah.
So out of those 5 green dots, we're going to look them as coordinates, and we are going to look at them. And this is why I go back to the Dougherty set. And again, we're not, doing the frills and spills because of, we're pushing that, but it just plays into everything. Why? Because guess what? From the 1 green dot all the way to the left, to any one of the other 4 green dots or 3 green dots in the forefront on the right, you have a different angle. Okay. So therefore you have a different geometric angle that's going to bring about either a icosahedron, whether it's going to be a tetrahedron, octahedron. Follow. So those triangulations are holding certain frequency exchanges that are going to be dominant in those. Just like a dodecahedron, it's going to have a 20-sided thing there. Sorry about that. I had to let that go. So therefore, everything about what you're saying in that grid, is absolutely truth. And it's ruled by whatever happens to be the ruling geometry of that time frame. Now we've had 3 different North poles that have been evident on the Earth. The that have been Siberia, the Hudson Bay, and now where it currently exists. And in that being said, the now we're on. We talked about this before. The nut spinning in space, how it goes 3 turns and then flips for the 4th turn, and then 3 more turns, flips for the 4th turn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we are. That holds it. That's why it's being brought up as consciousness now. They've done it out in outer space. Now they can do it here on Earth in the same kind of, return of the experiment. And that's what we're coming into. See, the other 3 times we didn't do a flip gate in the Z gate and the Zeit gate of the Earth's traveling. But by the change of it, the 3rd rotation, our flip value is going to happen that way. So everything anybody counted on before this moment can't be counted on, because our Earth isn't going to act in the same way. And I can go biblical text, extra biblical. We can go Sumerian text. We can go to Vedas, the Vedikas, which were changed because of Thomas. People need to understand that too. The Vedas before the Vedas and after the Vedas. That's what Vedikas and Vedas mean. That's all the Vedikas means, after the Vedas. And that's because Thomas came and changed the whole entire continent of India with the gospel. So let that be said straight up. That's not even, my own interjection of my opinion. That's exactly congruent with historical facts. So we're coming into a 3rd or a 4th bounce. And in this 4th quarter, we are going to come into the house of Horus. The world is going to do this crazy flip gate. And from what I understand, now I can't hold to it to say, I've never been here before. So I can only go by the congruencies of the past, and what's written in stone is that we will possibly be even going north-south poles will switch, and we are going to go from west to east instead of east to west. You know what I mean? So the sun will now set in the east and rise in the west. That's what I've been shown. And some of the dates go from, my date I found was in 2024 in 8-4. And Chris Sojourner, Cosmic, had actually come up with the same numbers, but with 8 or 408. Does that make sense? We just had them in a different reversed number pattern.
Yeah.
But that's due to happen anytime now. And in 222, the entire universe will be pulling on our parabola as the Earth goes from one balance point of turbulence into a free state of spin as it goes into the next state, which therefore could be the beginning of the cataclysmic events that we talk about, the unfolding of the flip gate of our poles.
Yeah, because there's flip gates. You definitely see where there's flip gates, and
yeah, that's why I brought it up now. While you got all that screening up, man, because you're literally right on point, bro.
There is flip gates and flip loops, and we covered that before, and I want to cover it more with Lapointe. There's a gentleman who came up with the primer fields, and there's these loops inside of these currents, and it's really, really cool. Like, a lot of this stuff is not intuitive. Like, you can't intuit this, but once you start understanding how circuitry works and why currents and everything else, then things start popping into place. So the reason I pulled this up is because, okay, imagine you're the sun and you create a bone over here with your imagination, which is what I was talking about, which really is like kind of almost not necessarily fracturing yourself. And this might be part of why MK Ultra is a thing and why it's so popular. It's part of pop culture now. It's in all of everything. That's what I'm saying. And first it was CIA experiments. So it's all over in Canada, all over in America, all over the world, and splintering people into multiple personalities and fracturing them. Now, I'm going to liken that into being able to disassociate your mind into imagining new cathedrals that never existed before. Okay, stop thinking about all these personalities and start thinking about these new kingdoms, this light kingdom that exists. and there's artists that are painting it. And I believe I'm an artist that's showing many of these different types of spaces off. And there's other artists that are doing this as well. But this is like a bone, and this would be like it's still stuck together, and there's a scaffolding system, and there's points, and it's a gridlock system. That's what I'm saying. You can know that these fields exist around you once you start to understand how the ether is inside of your body and it's pumping from your heart.
Well,
a little
and the processing of making a bone actually backs up what you're saying, because you look at how the bone starts in the marrow. The marrow then therefore calcifies. You know what I mean? Bone marrow is basically just like the mucus of calcium, you know, and then it's hardened, becomes inert. That's how it becomes a bone to matter. That's how they were able to find out that the chloral matter and the bone substrate of calcium in the bones could be interface, you know what I mean? Like you could, you know, artificially stimulate it into the natural state of a bone, like a pelvis, have it carved out and or created in that manner. And then the body would assimilate the chloral and fill in the holes. So basically it fills in the holes first of the chloral, then it assimilates the solid of the chloral. And they find that it makes actually the human body will make denser bone material because of it. So yeah, all you need is the consciousness to know that, you know, these codons have to be synchronized and sequenced in a certain manner. Junk DNA. Wow, look at that. All that extra tail stuff that's out there like a junk drawer on the end of our DNA that they say is junk DNA. Well, they got it right. It's a junk drawer. And that means, you want to make a spoon, right? You know what I'm saying? Do I need some silver? You know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what our body does with the DNA. You know, it's there because they already know that at a certain codonings, you know, like the only difference between a frog and a salamander, you know what I mean, is at the certain point at which the sequencing is unfolded, whether you have a positive strike into the codoning of the helix or you have a negative codon. Follow me? If you have a negative impulse at that point, it becomes, you know, a salamander. If it's a positive impulse, it becomes a frog. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And nowhere else in the whole DNA structure of that sequencing of the tadpole determines anything. It doesn't determine shit. Now, after that moment, everything that goes, now then you go for a frog. You know, now you go to let's say it's the next, and I'll go with the measures in like music, because that's what I'm seeing the harmonics play. You go from the first measure to the seventh measure, you now have a salamander or a frog, whether it's negative or positive. You go from the seventh measure to the 11th measure of the scale, and now you determine whether or not it's going to be a toad or a frog in that measure, and or you're going to determine whether it's going to be an underwater salamander or you know, a green salamander. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a filament.
Thank you. The sequencing opens up at certain times. Now everything in between doesn't matter. You know, it's like it's like making a ham and cheese sandwich or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a ham and cheese sandwich. Okay, you got the bread, you got the ham and cheese. Does Buddy like mayonnaise? Does he like mustard? Does he like a little lettuce on his, or does he want tomato? See, I mean, it doesn't matter. We've already identified it as a ham and cheese sandwich. The rest of it's how Buddy likes it. And that's what DNA sequencing is. And this goes, and that's what I'm telling you, your sonobiology is nailing it, because bioharmonics will become the father of all. It has to be, if people want to measure it properly. Bioharmonics will become the father of all ologies that exist, because you can't do anything without conscious stimulation. And the conscious stimulation comes from sympathetic resonance of tones that are unheard, unseen, and maybe unmeasurable. You know what I mean? I don't know that yet. If you can measure the very first of tones, I can feel them, so maybe you can measure them. I don't know. You know, I'm not there yet. I'm incomplete. I'll concede that I'm incomplete, buddy. How about you?
Right. Well, think of it like this: you have all of us are born with, you know, some sort of a familial structure, in one way or another. Most of us, there's feral children, yes, in the woods sometimes, but this can be thought of as like you being born. You know, you have your mom and your dad who are like structures and stable in your life. You know, some people lose one or two, or reach out to others, and some people don't have any, but we do have. This is how indeed your whether we believe it or not, your self-esteem is how your self-esteem grows. It's known through psychological experiments and studies that people who your self-esteem is based dependent is pretty much based dependently on your how well you know your family, your roots, and who you consider your family and your roots. How well you know them, how well you know the structure. Like, when you explain, oh, this is grandma, this is great grandma, and like, and all this other, like if you didn't get to meet your grandma or your great grandma, just at least reinforcing the realities of who they were, so they can get to know some of their personality, defining personality characteristics and things like that.
Imprinting.
Yeah,
imprinting will be a word that is going to become part of a staple of what we're talking about. I don't know. I want to add this in right now, if you don't mind my interjunction. Is that
sure.
okay, sir?
Sure.
At this point, I'd like to add in exactly what you're saying, the imprinting of seeing great grandma, seeing grandma, people they'd never seen before. I saw that, and I've been just toe tapping into it now, man. But I'll tell you, it correlates with all that I'm finding out with light therapies and stuff, is the fact that they're showing, let's say, Buddy James, now you got sick. Fuck, man, your hair's falling out, man. You're a friggin' mess. You got sores all over you and everything. They're taking pictures of Buddy James in his heyday, man. Buddy James. Oh wow, we got this cool picture of you on this surfboard, or wow, you're doing a tabletop on this motocross bike, or on your snowboard. You know what I'm saying? And you're watching that, and it's imprinting somehow or another. It's miraculously. We'll go with that word. Miraculously imprinting that healthy version of Buddy onto himself. And this is some metered science. I can't say proven science, but it's metered science that this is actually having an effect on people. People that have had Parkinson's, people that have had different, real metered diseases, man, where they can say, wow, it went from this stage here at this point here to this next point,
When you bring younger dogs around older dogs, that older dogs become younger. You can totally tell. It's like it's like the bone.
I have to bow out right now, though, buddy. I'm going to have to concede on the podcast right now. My worker's here, and I have to get involved in this. It's been wonderful. I hope we carry forward on the Technetium and that stuff, because this is important information for people to understand as they move forward and let the doctors bully them into, what kind of care they're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Do you want an ultrasound that doesn't have any radioactive evasiveness in it? Or do you want to go to a CT scan, and now we have to inject this, technetium dye into you that's going to radiate you for the next 6 days after we looked at you like a light bulb? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when you hang up, the episode's probably going to stop. So if I could hold
that's what I wanted to be courteous about that for you, man. And we're on 3 hours or whatever. It's it's 2:57 now. So that's a pretty cool time, eh?
That's perfect. Great timing. I think the episode was great. I love this episode. And like it all ties together. But I want to just reinforce the idea of people building a bone scaffolding of a reality of larger domes. And this is like it's similar to building a Merkaba, but you can do it with all sorts of these geometries that feel free to dig through all the Dougherty set, the Dougherty Network. Love is watching.
I'd love to get in it, because this ties in with a tent that I actually designed when I first went into ministry as a meditation tent. And I designed it in a thermal conductivity way that one person inside of it, you could stay warm in the most frigid of temperatures because of the actual 60, 30, 90 degree split of you being the center post, you know what I mean, with no center post to it, and you create the thermal energy that goes up, cools down, drops back down, hits you, cools, warms up, you know what I mean? So these are some cool dynamics that we can share with people in survival mode too.
Indeed. Well, thank you for being on the episode. Thank you for making it what it is, and love everybody out there, and love is watching.
Yeah, bless you all.
Amen. Thank you for doing that, everybody. And I'll see you next weekend. And hopefully you might be here as well, Brian. It was really good.
I'm hoping, dude. I as you can see, my apologies for a couple times stepping on the plastic kind of, worked its way in. But I'm trying to find a cool balance between, the ministry maintenance and being a part of this stuff that is really where I'm being called to be too. So bless you, brother. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Thank you, brother. Have a good weekend.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Thank you for being here for episode 41. The Geometric View is a Love is Watching product. Love is Watching being. Thank you for doing that. Keep your eyeballs out. Pay attention. There's a lot going down this year. Be vigilant. Be mindful. Be insightful. Be loving. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being kind. Share the love. Spread the love. Become the love. Amen.
and harmony, you both. So just hope for the rhythm that you got, 'cause you got the rhythm in the pop. The ball first, the thirst. Life is eternal, hope and thirsty. 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 I'm in search of, I'm in earth love, I'm in living life, I'm in living color, I'm in air drop, I'm in earth dang, I'm in earth dang, I'm in earth dang, I'm in earth dang. Join us in the fight for Christ, in the fight to save lives. Surprise, submersible, so fast, the first, the last of baptism, need to say more. Pay attention like the marrow in your bones, arrow in your back, arrow in your lungs, zero into the back, tertiary Christian neuron synapses, and narrow entrance into eternity. I'm a courier of charismatic attitude, modern meters even neater, it might even be fun. Cider indeed, need nerds, you need nerds, need a virtue, need to be a reason. Feasibility to be a reason to be clean and sober, keys, open doors, signs of directions. Be the carrier of candlesticks, the man who brought you change. Every second you ride into it, you're ribbon, you pivot, potential, you could be cat, could be cold, could be copycat, could be copy corpse, could be Schrodinger's best, could be Michael Racker, Mackie Normo, open-minded, itsy bitsy, freaking huge, a universal supermassive aspect of attached awareness. Aware of this all?
Collaborative consumption.
Are you aware of this all?
Collaborative consumption. The new thing consumption. Collaborative consumption.
Get up now! Out of the boat! Drop! Where did this up? We don't got about not about a girl, but about a not about a goddess spirit. Get up, what's up? Untitled Chapter. Little butts up. Eyes all up at the wall, eyes all up in your body. Can I just see straight through with transparent golden scaling? The largest of the edifice embark on this because this is the journey. The journey is life. Take hold. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There's nothing to do.
And if thy hand touches the wrong passage, shall you chop it off in your
Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud. Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud. Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud. Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud. Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud. Shout loud for the glories of God. Shout loud.